towards the gazelles. So you're going to have a very long distance view of the cheetah from here, but that's okay. Alrighty, I think we're going to set up quite a nice shot here. There's also a warthog there. He's looking totally unconcerned with life. This is very special stuff, and what's the best about this is that from a vehicle point of view there are no rocks and nothing like that to get in our way. Alright, how's that? A little further. Yeah. Now, Ellen, you're wondering what the biggest prey animal a cheetah will take down is. Ellen, a single cheetah like this, you'll find it would probably be an adult male impala, absolute maximum. But it's unlikely that an adult male impala would be taken by a little cheetah like this. It's most likely to be a female impala. But these Tommies are ideal. They're just very fast, however. Now, this is what we call a compressed shot. The cheetah is much further away than it looks in that shot. It's still about 300 meters away, just under a quarter of a mile. Alrighty, shall we just move a little bit more, Ferg? Shall we skip around a bit? You can see the warthog. She will not take on a warthog. The warthog will do some serious damage to a cheetah. I'm just watching the cheetah. She's just making sure that the Thomson's gazelles turn their backs, keep their backs turned. I don't know why they haven't seen her. It's not like she's sort of not out in the open. I mean, we can see them both clearly. Is that right? They turn down a bit more. Yeah? I'm just talking to Fergus, who's on camera, making sure that I don't park like a complete idiot. Now we'll just try and get them both. Now she's stalking now. Now she's stalking. She's ducked down into the grass. There she is. Look at that. Just watching very carefully. Now, I know this isn't the best view of a cheetah you've ever had, but this is where you have to be if you want to catch them really doing their hunting business. Oh, isn't it amazing that we can see her and they can't? Jeffrey, you're in Texas and you say, oh man, go cheetah go. Well, yes, exactly. All I can hear is Matthew McConaughey saying that now that I know Jeffrey from Texas is watching. So in the right hand side of your screen you've got the cheetah, just keeping her head up above the grass. Conditions for hunting a bit more difficult than they were, of course, because when the grass was longer and the wildebeest were here, well then it was just a bit easier for them. But what I must tell you here, of course, as well, is that it is very windy, and so if there is a bit of a wobble in the camera, it's because we're at the end of the lens now. We've given that cheetah as much space as possible, and so if you do see a bit of a wobble, it is because it's not because I'm breakdancing on the car, it's because there is a wind, as there normally is out here. Now come on, my dear, time waits for no cheetah. The Thomson's gazelles are still moving towards her slowly, oblivious, grazing. Now she has got to be very careful here, obviously. At this distance, if they spot her, they'll run off and she won't have a chance. But if she gets within 200 meters, in an area like this, maybe 100 meters, in an area like this, where she has got space to run and they've got nowhere to hide, she's got a good chance. But she must just get within that sort of, I would say, 100-meter distance before she has a real chance. Now, Chris Rogue, you were trying to find out how close a cheetah has to get. Yeah, about I would say 100 meters, but you see, if she hits the 100-meter mark at full speed, that's hugely different from taking off at 100 meters. As it will take a little while, say a second or two, to get to full stride. Now, although that's very little time, it's enough time for something like a Thompson's gazelle to explode off the mark and get away, you know, put enough distance between her. Oof, she's stalking now. She's in the grass. And his little Tommy's moving slowly closer to her. Dory, you say, is it true that cheetah will pick a target and mostly stick with that target throughout? If you had asked me that question 3.5 months ago, I would have said yes, definitely. Now, I'm not so sure. In this situation, yes, she's going to pick one of these things. She'll pick whichever one's close and she'll have a go at it. But if you look at the way that the cheetah brothers have behaved, those 5 musketeers that Scott is with now, they just used to run willy-nilly into a herd of wildebeest, create complete panic, and then pick the one that seemed to be the weakest or the most confused. They did not bring this kind of concentration and this kind of patience and this kind of focus to their hunts. Being very patient. She's playing this game beautifully. That Thompson's gazelle slowly moving towards her, to the extent that I'm a little tempted to move forward, but I'm going to wait for a while, because if the Tommy does run, it's going to run this way. I think we're in a good position here. It's so difficult to tell how. Ooh, now the Thompson's gazelle, that one that was walking towards her, has turned its back on her, and so she's lifted her head. The other thing she doesn't want to do now, they've both turned their backs. Now she's not looking there anymore. Come on. What she doesn't want to do is give that warthog a fright, because the warthog will warn them just by grunting. I think that's why she's not moving. I think that Warty has now got himself obliviously into the middle between the two of them. Tommies are now running. Where's the cheetah? Cheetah has not moved at all. Thompson's gazelles are now running away for some reason. I can't imagine why. They're still running. I'm keeping an eye on the cheetah. She hasn't moved an inch. I think they saw her. So I think that's going to be the end of that particular hunt, which wasn't a particularly impressive hunt, I feel. The gazelles are gone. Although they've stopped running now. Let's see what she does quickly. She's just sitting there now, waiting. And peering over the grass. Yes, we're going to give her 30 seconds or so before we let you go on with whatever it is that you're doing with your day. She doesn't seem to be doing much right now. Yeah, I think she's given up on that hunt. The cheetah in this area are just fantastic, and I think the problem there was the warthog. I think she'd have closed that gap much more quickly if it hadn't been for that very large pig. He'll have a go at her. I mean, if she comes towards him, he will stand his ground. He's heavier than her. He's prepared to take a risk with the predator. She's watching him though. She fancies a bit of bacon for her breakfast. Gazelle's now coming back this way. They're right next to us now. They're coming to see us. She's still watching them. I just want to give this another minute, and let's just see Dominique, you say is there a reason that their tails are moving so much? Yes, absolutely. They're trying to get rid of the flies and the ticks. The tails are very important in helping them get rid of parasites. Okay, I think that this particular hunt is over, so we're going to say goodbye to you for now. If the cheetah gets up again and has a go, then we will be very sure. Oh, hang on a second. I think let's give it another minute. Sorry everyone, I know that I'm being very indecisive here, but we must be patient about these things. Cheetah's still looking at them, and they are not particularly terrified, I must say. They do keep looking down in that direction, but then they put their heads down and carry on. And normally if an antelope is alarmed, they will either run towards what they're looking at and shout, or they'll run away. Leslie, you're wondering how many cheetah hunts I've seen in the Mara. I've seen a few. I'm trying to think how many successful ones. I'm not sure that I've watched a successful hunt in person, but we, as Safari Live, over the last, especially Scott, over the last 3.5 months, have watched, I would say, in excess of 25 or so successful cheetah hunts, especially with those Musketeer brothers. Yeah, I haven't actually managed to see a successful one. I've seen lots of failures, but I haven't seen anything successful. Alright, she's got 15 seconds before she moves. Brizzo, you're wondering what the ideal situation she's waiting for is. Brizzo, what she's waiting for is cover. Sufficient cover to get to within, say, 100 meters or so of these Thompson's gazelles. And at the moment, she really doesn't have any. The grass has been eaten so short by the zebra and the wildebeest that for her to sneak up to the right distance from here, they really have to turn their backs on her. And I suspect the fact that they keep turning their backs and then turning back around has something to do with their, I think it's a strategy of theirs. I don't think they ever graze in one direction for any length of time, precisely because something like this could be about to sneak up on them. Alright, we're going to let you get on with the rest of your day, your evening. Keep an eye out on your social media notifications, and if this cheetah gets up and does something like, well, trace a Thompson's gazelle, we'll be sure to come back live. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, for the rest of you marvelous people watching, I'm going to stay with this cheetah for a little bit longer. While we do that, let's head across to Steph, who I believe is, well, probably thinking of what to do with his son next time he's on holiday.
Well, we can give you some news that the lions are not eating this dead buffalo, and we tracked them north into Buffalo's Hook, which is an adjacent property to where we are. And although there's no fences between the properties here, we can't unfortunately go there, and the animals have gone there. So the entire pride has gone north, but what it has done is allowed us to explore this buffalo carcass. This buffalo carcass is about a year and a half old now, and it's allowed us to show you a little bit of bushcraft. Let me just get another appendage. I've got some vertebrae and some leaves, which I'm going to show you how to use. And I'm now looking for the pelvic bone, which is here. Now, the pelvic bones of buffalo help you to create a bit of comfort in the bush. This buffalo can still be useful. This is the pelvic area of the buffalo. And what you do is, if you have need of a seat in the bush, you go find yourself a buffalo carcass, prop it up with a suitable piece of bone or stick, and voila, you have the seat that you need in comfort wherever you need it. and whenever you need it, I suppose. I don't think I'd like to strap it to my backpack once done, but it is here. And then, of course, there are a number of ways to help you through this experience. One of them would be with the single ply version, double ply version, or you have another choice here, another brand, the Weeping Wattle brand. You know, you can choose which one suits you best. And then once done, of course, you can combine them if you want to, I suppose. There we go, the luxury deluxe version. Triple ply ultra soft deluxe version to help you through your moment. But there we go, so quite comfy. That's what it looks like once built. And of course, completely biodegradable. Right. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that foolery. Some interesting uses for a buffalo skeleton. So what are we going to do now, since we know that our lions are there somewhere, and we'll find out from our presenter colleagues what they're actually eating today, if they are doing anything. Now, like Nara Moore, having a look at this, you just commented that would be so useful for soccer moms at soccer practice. I can only imagine that on the side of a soccer field, they haven't provided for people's comfort as much as what the bush does over here from time to time. So no, absolutely. I don't know if I'd be able, like I said, you don't want to strap it to your backpack once you're done. I think there's enough of them lying around. But if you had a campsite in an area that's, I mean, it's not very heavy, they do their thing. So, you know, Louise says she likes that we can dismantle it for easy storage. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, one of those tricks that you pick up here when you've been living in the bush for too long. So, what we're going to do, I think, is walk off down the drainage line here. There is a massive sneezewood tree that grows along the drainage line here. In summer, it is very difficult to find and get to because it's in a thicket, but I think I may just be able to find it over here, and I want to show it to you. I don't think I've ever shown you this particular sneezewood tree on our walk, but it is the biggest one at Djuma and the biggest one I've ever seen as well. All right, in the meantime, while I cross here and we go look for that sneezewood tree, we're going to send you over to my friend Brent all the way in the Mara.
I did. That's where I found out they had names. No, that's different from your post. It's us something and something that crosses Kila something. I can't remember.
You see, because we posted it first.
Sorry about Brent's lack of comms there, everybody. Well, nothing's changed here. So what I think we'll do is probably just go and have a closer look at that cheetah, because we're looking at a sort of thing poking out of the grass like that. Well, it's just not as exciting as it might be if we were closer looking at the details. So we'll ease down here. Oh, you know what else is going on? It looks like there's a stream of wildebeest heading towards one of the crossings. It's interesting. I'll show that to you now. Let's just get close to this cheetah. Thompson's gazelle still there. Its partners thought to hell with this and skedaddled off somewhere else. Oh no, she's lying down, the other Tommy. Let's just have a look at the cheetah first, and then I'll show you the line of wildebeest coming towards the crossing. Courtney, that's an interesting question. You say, I forget the first part of it, but you say, could female cheetahs benefit from more cooperative living, so cooperative hunting and, you know, general cooperative living in prides, basically? And you've also asked, oh, there's a Temming's courser. Let's just quickly have a look at this bird here on the ground. And you know, the answer to that question is interesting, because it begs the question of why lions are in prides, and it would seem that it is not hugely to do with eating more. It's got a lot more to do with protection from marauding males and protection from other lions. Now, if you're small, like a cheetah is, and from other predators, sorry. If you're small like a cheetah is, it doesn't matter how many you are in a group. I mean, if there are 3 or 4 of you in a group, you're never going to protect yourself even against one lion. And so being inconspicuous is a much better idea. And, you know, they've shown in a number of times that a lioness on her own, living entirely on her own, will eat often as much as lionesses living in prides of 3. So, you know, that's one of the kind of theories around it, but there's nothing definite about why it is that lions form prides, because that's the crucial question here. Why on earth do they form coalitions when no other cat does? You happy here? Oh, 2-shot. Fergus is indicating quite excitedly to me by waving his hand and threatening me with violence to stop the car, because he's got a 2-shot of a potential crossing. I've just pulled my earpiece out, and a cheetah. So that crossing is happening near the lookout crossings, and I'm not sure it will actually happen, but it might. I'm not sure where that bunch of stragglers has come out from. In fact, it may very well be the same group we had earlier that have just moved further up north. But there is a massing of vehicles the other side of the river. In fact, it looks like a dust storm, an armada of vehicles coming down to watch a crossing. That's a really lovely picture there, Fergus, well done. The Tommy's still standing there. Cheetah has not given up on them yet. So that same group, I think it is the same group, a few hundred wildebeest coming down towards a crossing point, thinking about going across the river for one last hurrah. Insane as it might be. Now these chaps here could very easily just pop straight down to the south, hop across the Sand River with no trouble at all and be in the Serengeti. There is no need for them to cross the Mara River unless they're coming back into the triangle and back to the north of the triangle where there's a lot of grass. There's not a lot of grass in this part. Joe, you want to know if cheetah mate for life? No, they don't. They are philanderers, like all cats. They do not mate for life. They mate when they're in estrus, and then they leave each other. And not child rearing, not bringing home the bacon, as it were. There is no monogamy amongst the cheetahs. Ooh! She's thinking about it, Fergus. We might be lucky. A good well, the question is, when do we make our us as well? If this actually happens, that Thompson's gazelle will disappear over the horizon within seconds, so I'm going to have to move the car. So we can at least see both. The other Tommy's up. It was sitting on the ground chewing its cud. She's getting closer. Kirsten. Wait, let's give it 1 minute. Now the reason I'm talking to Kirsty is because obviously she's got to click live to the Facebook broadcast if we're going to go and do what we call an unscheduled broadcast. I think let me just go all the way around her again, because if we do get this, we want to be in the right position. There's no point in sitting sideways on and having them disappear over the hills. She's still coming. She's not jogging, she's just walking. Oh, and there are a whole lot more this side. And a youngster. I'm not going to be able to get you the two shot here because I'm going to get in between these two and that's going to make a mess. So what I'm going to do is turn here. Unless we go all the way the other side there. Ferg, how's this? Does it work for you? If we go, wait, let me go the other side of them. Let me go the other side. There, now she can still see both, and we can see them all. Alright, Kirsten, I think you better go live to Facebook. Alright, welcome back to those of you watching us on social media. A little bit more. We are back on the hunt with this cheetah females, and she's got up again. I hope she's not going to sit down again. I don't know if you were with us earlier. If you were with us earlier, we watched her for about 20 minutes stalking up closer and closer towards these Thompson's gazelles here. Now she lay down for a long time. Now she's got up again and is coming towards them. And as we go live, she sits down yet again. I just can't believe they can't see her sitting there. It's all very confusing. Yes, she's coming, she's coming. Straight towards them now. She's getting close enough. There's a baby here. Oh no, there's a baby this side. And I think that's why she's got up again. Now they can see her. There's a little one here, straight in front of us. I will be fascinated if this works. I think she's given up on these adults. I think she can see the little one here, and now she's decided that's going to be her target. She doesn't have to get nearly as close to the baby as she does to the adults. The mother and the youngster are watching towards her direction. Whether they can see her or not, I don't know. They haven't moved. Mother and youngster, now they have. And she's coming. I can't believe that she's actually, that's not a, I mean, she's barely jogging. She's going towards the little one. The little one is springing off towards the side. This is fascinating. I don't know what she's doing. She's kind of jogging after it. She went straight past a warthog who just watched her. I think we're going to have to move. Hold on tight. She's going after the youngster. There's no ways we can keep up with her, but we might find the end of what happens. She's still moving, still jogging. I've never seen a cheetah hunt like this. It's like a greyhound coursing after something. This has not been a sprint. She stopped moving now. Probably hoping the little one would tire and give up. Well, the little one very cleverly either got in amongst the adults or was surrounded by the adults. They've disappeared down into, oh, there's a large grouping of them down there. And there's some really nice cover for her here. There she is. I'm not sure, she now seems to have kind of given up, really. But you can see she's carrying her head quite low, which tells you that she's not quite given up. She's thinking about having a go at something. I think she might just put herself behind a termite mound there and then wait for a while. Yeah, there are a lot more Thomson's gazelles down in the dip there, but I'm 99.9% sure that if we go down into that dip we are going to lose signal entirely, and you will not see anything but a black screen. Yeah, she's given up. How very strange. She will be around here though for the duration of the day. Maybe she's just getting behind the termite mound. Let's wait and see. This is really fascinating stuff. She's looking very sad. Oh. David, you say maybe she's trying to confuse them. Quite possibly. She's certainly confusing me. But wasn't it interesting to see her go for the little one? How her focus changed completely once she realized there was a youngster. Now there are a whole lot of them coming straight up towards her now. Lots of them running up here. Straight towards her. Just get behind a termite mound, cat, and you'll be in luck. So if you do hear a slapping sound every so often, it's because I'm being attacked by flies. You see, I think they've seen her, and they're trying to find out what she's doing. I'm not sure that they can see her behind the termite mound, and this is very typical behavior, that they'll come and find out where the predator is. They know at what distance they'll be able to get away from her. I'm just going to see if I can spot any more youngsters. Lots of impala down in the dip there. There are no really small ones in this group of Tommies here. A big ram's quite big for her. And they are so fast. I mean, they're unspeakably fast in comparison with something like a human being. I mean, it's ridiculous how quick they are. They're still jogging towards her. Melissa, you say can they smell her? I don't think in this wind that they could. In fact, no, I mean, it's blowing from her onto them. They might be able to smell her, I'm not sure. If she is giving off a smell, then yes, they'll be able to smell her. Now they're chasing up towards her. This is really interesting stuff. She's kind of slinking away. They're almost saying to her, go away, we know you here. We're the big ones. Why don't you have a go at us instead of the little one that you tried to bully? Yeah, the little one is way down in the little valley. I'm fascinated that she doesn't turn and have a go at one of those. Oh, Drex, you want to know if I think a lion is smarter at hunting than a cheetah. Could we say that they're smarter? No, not at all. I don't think either one is smarter than the other. They have both developed strategies that are best for their species. The cheetah, of course, sits very much at the bottom rung of the main predators here, of the big five predators, lions, hyenas, wild dogs, leopards and cheetah, cheetah sits at the very bottom. They're much more slight than all the others, and of course they are solitary. Now, when we do go back to the cheetah, you might see a whole lot of vehicles. That is, of course, because we are in a tourist area. Yeah, the cheetah has given up now, slinking off, feeling rather ashamed with life. Also being watched and jeered by some topi off to the one side. And they think that it's all rather ridiculous. Yeah, they've put her to flight. Not because I think she felt any physical danger from them, but simply because she now knows that she's been spotted and she's going to have to come around from a different angle. Possibly from the other side completely, using the wind to her advantage. Yeah, she's turning back towards them now. This is really quite fascinating stuff. Shall we move slightly, Ferg? Shall we go around the other side there to see if our signal will maintain? I don't think she's actually trying to flank them though. I think she's given up. We'll just go around the side of the Tommies here. Signal now, and I'm losing communications. Alright, we're going to call this one quits. We'll do our best to keep up with what's going on here. I think we'll probably leave the situation though, because the cheetah is now heading off down towards the river. Alright, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time nature's action starts to unfold. Alright everybody, let's go back across to Stefan Winterboer. I'm fascinated to see the loo seat that he has managed to produce for himself. It's one of the greatest troubles of taking, well, your business in the bush, a loo seat.
Found this old man of the forest. This is the largest sneezewood tree that I've ever seen in my life, and will be, as far as I'm aware at the moment, the largest sneezewood tree at Djuma. And these are incredibly slow growing trees. One of the slowest growing trees that we found out here. And I wouldn't be surprised if this tree was close on 1,000 years old. Or I don't know how old they get. I've never found any evidence to suggest that you know, how old they be. The only way to be would be to drill into it and to take a core sample and then to go and carbon date it. But there's just this feeling of age and indestructibility about these trees. They were chopped down in the 1800s for furniture. They were very valuable furniture making wood. They were also used quite heavily for wagons and for making wooden bearings and yokes. They were a highly prized tree by settlers in the area, and because of that they're rare. To find an old man like this that has survived man's coming to Africa. This tree looked like this when European man, I should say, not African man, when European man set foot on these shores. This tree was already growing here. This tree was already here. Isn't that just amazing? Just something to share a bit of experience with. And he's still alive, or she's still alive. It's still alive. Amazing. Now, they're called sneezewood trees because the very compound in here that makes them less attractive to termites and ants and fungus is very irritating in the nose. We get some. It's also got quite a compound. Now, Excuse disappearing like that. We are in the deep drainage line here, and in summer it's impossible to get a signal out of here. So in winter we're lucky to just get it. Now they're called sneezewood trees, Joe, because they've got a compound in their bark which is very irritating, and when you work this wood, the sawdust gets in your nose, and then you start to sneeze quite heavily. But have a look at the grain on this wood once I've opened it up. Just have a look there. It's beautiful, eh? Very solid. And it's got such a fantastic smell. So like the tamboti tree, the African cedar, this has got a very unique smell. It smells almost like you know these crisps, these puffed maize crisps that are covered in that most disgusting orange flavorant. That's what this smells like. Oh, it's like a cheese curl thingy. It's really good, you know, in this form. Anyway, alrighty, we're going to move on from this old man and carry on with our search for other things interesting, but just to spend some time with the old giant of a forest like this is always good. Thank you. The last time I saw him was 3 years ago. Myself and Scott walked past him coming down this particular valley when we were testing out this walk in this backpack kit. Quite nice. Goodbye. Have a nice summer. We'll see you next year, basically. There's a snake here. This is interesting. So an eagle, I think, has caught a lizard and came and landed in the tree, probably to eat it, and has discarded the belly skin of the lizard. This looks like a plated lizard. And the eagle must have plucked the skin off of the plated lizard and then discarded it. This is the belly skin of a plated lizard. There's some oxpeckers calling. It's a bit worrying considering we can't see more than 3 feet in front of us at the moment. So oxpeckers, when you're in bush this thick, you've got to react to the news that the bush is telling you. You have to listen to the bush, and the bush right now is saying oxpecker. And what oxpeckers do is they feed on blood and they feed on ticks, on in particular large herbivores. And in this area, large herbivores can be anything from buffalo to hippo, rhinoceros to giraffe. And so we now know that where they flew up, which is just there, we've got to take a little bit of caution. So I'm going to make my way straight out of this thick bush, which is this way, and we're going to go get into a place where we can actually see more than a feet or two in front of us. Luke, you'd like to know if sorry, Louise, it was Luke who asked the question about the snake, right? Oh, Duke. Sorry, Duke. You wanted to know if we've ever encountered snakes on bushwalks. Duke, from time to time you do. Snakes are very wary of people or anything really walking around in the bush. They're deaf, of course. Snakes can't hear anything, but they've got a lot of sensory organelle on their body, and they can actually pick out vibrations when you're walking. They can pick out vibrations in the ground. So when they hear things walking towards them, they don't want to get stood on, and so what they do is they make space or curl up or go into some hiding. So when you do see snakes, it's almost always quite quickly, and they're always getting away, but they're not common to see. They're common occurring out here, but they're not that common to see. There's a saffron tree as well. So this is a low-felt saffron, also a giant tree. Quite nice. Alright, there's some go-away birds now calling, but I think they're calling at us. The bush is now opened up enough for us to see a decent distance in front of us. I still can't see what's causing those ox pickers to do their thing. Alright, so we've got a termite mound close by here. That's for safety, in case we need it. Now, oxpeckers will also sit on kudu, impala, warthog, so it could be any of those things. But just the fact that they've warned us here, we're going to go and have a look at over there. So while we're making our way slowly there, we'll send you over to Scott and his cheetah.
Well, I hope Steph does manage to bump into a slithering serpent on foot. Puff adder would be a good one, quite sluggish, good to film. I'm not sure who's on. And to be honest, I mean, it's beautiful and sunny. Oh, sorry, you lost me there. I was saying it would be fun if Steph managed to find a snake on bushwalk. And then I followed up by saying we aren't having the greatest amount of fun here. It was quite bizarre, and I mean, I guess that's maybe something to be happy about, maybe, that they always keep us guessing, and they hardly moved last night. I mean, they were on the move a lot, up, down, but they didn't cover a lot of distance compared to what they would usually do. Then this morning, again, they've just hardly covered any ground. They've moved maybe half a mile and haven't been too entertaining. And to make matters worse, there's a vehicle that's just parked in Craig's Way. So we've had to park up on the hill here to get decent signal. A little bit lower down there where all the vehicles are parked, we sadly didn't have the strongest picture. So we're in a bit of a conundrum. The next conundrum we face is what to do. We've heard Malika's not too far away, a female cheetah. She's apparently quite well fed though, and also snoozing. Our plan was to head back to camp today, which is about from here 2.5 hour drive. We've been away from our camp for 3 nights and we're heading back for a pizza night tonight. But we may have to delay that. We're not sure. We may decide to head back to Old Shaiki, the camp that looks after us when we're across here, and then have a snooze and then maybe come back and spend the afternoon with these guys and then head back to camp this evening. But that's quite an undertaking. So we're not too sure what to do, and of course we do not want to miss out on the pizzas tonight. So, we'll see. For now though, we are going to just hang out here probably until the end of the drive. I'm feeling maybe, if we're lucky, that because their behavior has been different, last night they haven't moved that much, this morning they haven't moved that much, maybe they're going to do a bit of a midday massacre. And on one occasion since I've been here, and that's not to say there haven't been more occasions that I haven't heard of, but on one guaranteed occasion in the last 3 months, they did perform a midday massacre and brought down a fully grown wildebeest. So anything is possible. For now though, they're looking quite chilled. I'm wondering, and it's just a bit of a wild theory, that they are possibly not moving as much as they usually do to cater for the individual with the injured leg. So, oh, hello, nice wheels. Glad they're gone though. So that is a possible theory. One of them, for any of you who have just joined the safari a little bit late, one of them has got a bit of a limp, and we noticed it early yesterday evening. It's nothing too bad, but wouldn't it be wonderful to know how he got injured and how serious the injury is? Thankfully for him though, he's got his brothers that will keep him well fed. Not all of them have to hunt, only one of them do. Good. I was just checking all was in order with my earpiece. I didn't catch your name, but it sounds like Glasses and Chatter or something along those lines. Okay, I got it right. Good one. Interesting name. It's always difficult to hear John or David is easier than glasses something chatter. But good to have you with us, and thanks for sending your question through. You would like to know which is my favorite cheetah. I don't have one. Out of these 5, I battled to distinguish them, other than of course the male with the collar. But he was kind of initially my favorite, and I thought he was dominant, the leader of the pack. He'd made the first epic kill that we actually filmed. But I don't have a favorite yet. Out of all of the cheetah we've spent time with, they kind of all equally high up on a par. They're my favorite animal at the moment. I'm quite flexible though, and tend to change my favorite animal from time to time. But at the moment it's been the cheetah, and I'm looking forward to trying and spending as much time as we possibly can with these awesome creatures while we are up here. As you can see, there's quite a few vehicles enjoying the sighting. And of course, nothing wrong with that. Everyone's keeping their distance, not giving the cheetah a hard time. And it's important that everyone gets to see all these wonderful things when they come out on safari, which of course a lot of people have come a long way from. So these guys are getting very lucky. Imagine seeing these boys, and good prospects again for them this evening. Their guides will definitely keep in mind that these guys are a good option to go to. Speaking of good options to go to, one of the best options that Safari Live has is Mr. James Henry, even if he is just driving around with nothing.
I'm not driving with nothing. This is the Masai Mara. It's almost impossible to find nothing. We've got a number of interesting things here. We've got some topi standing on termite mounds, which is what they like to do for some reason. Make themselves obvious, show how magnificent they are, and they are magnificent. And then, oh, there's a lion. Okay, you see this termite mound in front of us, the one that the topi's just got off? See where I'm pointing? There's the one on the right that you had there, right? Topi on the right, that you were originally on, right? Then, okay, now just zoom in there. Now, right a bit. There, middle of screen, way at the back is a lioness. And cubs. Can you see cubs there?
Yeah, young one.
There's a lioness and cubs, everybody. Don't know who that is. Don't know where she's from. Don't know what she's doing down there. Never seen her before. That's quite fun. As I said, the Masai Mara, there's almost never nothing to see. How fantastic is that? That's a good wolf. I mean, it's a long way away. 700 meters according to the focus. Or infinity. It's not quite infinity away. We'll call it 700 meters. Cool. Well, I don't know how much... Are you still on comms there, Kirsten? Ah, she's still here. Thank goodness. Okay. Then off to the right-hand side, there's a herd of buffalo wandering down towards the confluence of the Talek and Mara rivers. They clearly do not have the view of the lion. Why would they? And then I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to ask Fergus to show you, but there is another grouping of wildebeest the other side, way away, quite a large grouping. In fact, a few large groupings of wildebeest, the remnants of the herds, that I think are probably going to be devoured eventually by one of those cheetah brothers. I've been surprised. We've probably seen about, I don't know, 10 or 20 herds of a few hundred wildebeest each, as we've done our best to kind of draw a picture of what's going on with the herds. What is that now? There's a baby waterbuck in front of us, looks like a small donkey, but nothing is anywhere close to that lioness. She's now moved. Well, that was quite a fun little stop, I'd say. Toby, did you see the lion? I don't think you did. Acute chemistry, you say, are there any hippos around this time of the year? Acute chemistry, there are hippos around all times of the year. They are in the water now, because it's going to be quite a hot day. The sun is starting to beat down a bit. It is a vicious sun, I must say, in this part of the world. And as soon as it comes up, you start to cook. Alright, I think we're going to go head across to Brent Leo Smith. He's had a really fantastic sighting, but he then lost comms and signal. I'm not sure if he's still with the incredible sighting, but he will no doubt tell you about it now.
Welcome, and we are looking at some wonderful elephants in the distance. As you know, we were looking for the mating cheetah. We did not find mating cheetah. However, I saw something I have never seen in my life before, and unfortunately it was just in one of those terrible gremlin invaded holes. But we are working on filling those holes, and I'm definitely sure by the end of the year, or maybe next year, we'll be able to bring you possibly one of the most fascinating creatures that I've ever seen in my life. Now, I'm going to show you what they look like. We took some pictures, and Manu did roll some footage on it, but it is the most incredible thing. Oh, can you see it, Manu? Do I need to lift? Let me put my head down. Do I need to lift it? There we go. Try now. So let's try. There we go. Look at that. A white hyena, a leucistic hyena. We did not see one, but we saw two leucistic hyenas. Now, as far as I know, there are three in that clan. They're right on the Tanzanian border, but isn't that absolutely amazing? That is not something I've ever seen in my life before. That is a first, and we are just blown away. So excited. We saw a Tanzanian vehicle on the boundary. We're like, oh, have you seen the white hyenas? He's like, yes, I know those ones. We see them all the time. So obviously the guys in Tanzania see them quite often, but that is a first for me. I heard about them when I first arrived in the Mara in May from the warden. He said there were some white hyenas near the Tanzanian border, but mostly in Tanzania. But isn't that absolutely incredible? They're just over a year old. So there's two of them that we saw, but there is apparently a third. So obviously that leucistic gene runs in that clan, and hopefully once we get our other repeaters up, we'll be able to spend some time. It is quite a big clan as well, and also it's that area where the two male cheetahs and a couple of female cheetahs also like to hang out. So very, very exciting, and I'm almost just Gillian says they look much nicer in white. They do. They look a little bit less mischievous, or what's the word I'm looking for? Less full of nonsense, I suppose. So they actually, if we have a look where those elephants are, their territory is below that hill, and their clan boundary is probably that hill we can see there. Now there's another clan here where we are, and it's the clan we actually saw fighting with the next clan over towards the north of us. So there are a lot of hyenas, but that's just absolutely incredible. I mean, I'm still without words. Now, we're going to go into the Happy Valley, as Manu likes to call it. It has been such a great spot for us over the last couple of weeks, with lions, cheetah, hyenas, leopard, all in this area down to the east of us here. So we've nicknamed it Happy Valley, even though, well, the main reason is because one of the hyena clans down here is called the Happy Valley Hyena Clan. But they lost the fight against what I've been calling the Bridge Clan that come from this side. So let's go see what's happening in our Happy Valley. I'm just so happy I saw a white hyena! Sorry. Oh, I think I'm just going to have to keep still because my comms were breaking there for a second. Let's see what I had a question about. So Nikki's wondering, do the other hyenas in the clan treat the white ones differently? Not from what we saw. They could be born to quite a high-ranking female, so that they might have inherited that status, but they didn't treat them differently at all. They ran around together. There was about 7 or 8 hyenas altogether with the 2 white ones, and they were finishing off. They had a little bit of a carcass there, but they didn't seem to be treated differently at all. They were treated completely the same as the other hyenas. But yeah, I mean, I've never ever heard of leucistic hyenas outside of this clan in my life, and I've never heard of them in southern Africa. The only place I've ever heard of them is this clan right here on the Tanzanian border. So hopefully we are going to get to spend some time with them in the future. It'll be very, very exciting. I mean, I'm just over the moon at the moment. What have we got in the Happy Valley? Where are my binoculars? So while we check what's happening in Manu and my Happy Valley, let's go across to Steph, who's marching about on Djuma.
We're going to go live. Well, we've decided to walk onto this game path through this block. We want to get back down to the Mulwati and away from the Buffelshoek Dam area. Not much around today. I don't know what it is. You can just almost feel when a patch of bush feels a bit empty, and that patch of bush felt very empty. Oh, look at this nest in the top of this. It's a fairly large nest. But what is striking about it is the fact that it's in the middle of a buffalo thorn. Now, these buffalo thorns have a covering of leaves, a very dense covering of leaves. You won't be able to see into the middle of this bush. And this bird has managed to weave a cup-shaped nest inside here from grass. It couldn't have been easy to do. And then rear chicks inside there and come in and out the whole time without poking itself in the eye or... Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't quite know if that's the piece of sneezewood that I've been playing with or it's my cold. And I've got to try and do that away from my microphone. So excuse me if any of you got a big fright to that. Wow. I've always liked this particular block of bush. It's quite thick and quite dense and diverse. But there's a lot going on here, you know. There's always something, there's always like an energy here, a feel that something is going to happen. Now, Hasman the Great, you want to know if I've seen any frogs or amphibians yet this year? With the exception of a couple of grey tree frogs, no. I haven't heard anything. Oh, and some toads are out at the moment as well, but nothing major. And it's because the surface water, although there's a lot of surface water at the dams, left in the catchment dams, there's not a lot of surface water out there, not in the pools, and so not in the rivulets, and so there's nothing just yet. Also, the air is very dry, and for an animal that's got a porous skin like a frog, dry, windy, hot days would kill them very quickly, and so there's no frogs out at the moment. I would expect that toward November time we'll start to hear the frogs a little bit more, and as soon as the pans fill up with a little bit of water, we're going to be hearing those fantastic frog choruses singing out over the bush, and hopefully with the well, each pan sort of has its night where these frogs call at one another. What is amazing is that in our first year of coming here, these russes were just inundated. This is a rus tree, this one here. They were just inundated with flea beetles. I mean, there wasn't a tree that we could go to where it wasn't covered in flea beetles. Last year and this year so far, I haven't found a flea beetle, the odd one, but there's nothing, no flea beetles left. And I wonder if it was just a combination of the year. Each year actually brings with it an influx of well, each year brings with it its own set of unique circumstances, environmental circumstances. Every insect will have its particular niche where it does incredibly well. In one year it'll be flies, the next year it'll be ticks, the next year it'll be flea beetles, and I think 2 years ago was the year of the flea beetle, because since then we haven't found any, and it's a pity. I quite enjoy them. Right, we're going to send you over to James for an update on what he's been doing.
What we have here, very underappreciated member of the population in the Masai Mara, the buffalo. Hello, buffalo. How are you? Lovely to see you. Yes. Chewing your grass, are you? I suppose that's what you do, really, isn't it? Yes, you do. I see your ears are a bit mangled. Yes. Have you run through a few thorn bushes? Fought off a few lions in your time? Your eyes look a little bit scaly, to be honest. I think you maybe need some anti-aging cream, the stuff that Jerry puts on me before we go to TV. I'll bring you some next time I come past here. And some flies in your eyes, how lovely. Many stories to tell a buffalo like this. Now they tend to lose their hair as they get a bit older, of course. And if you look at his belly, he looks like a character from the Game of Thrones. He's got grey scale, like Sir Jorah Mormont, till he was cured, of course, by Samuel Tarley. If you don't get that illusion, please don't worry about it. It's not important. Now this fella, I think, has got a slightly less than impressive set of horns. He looks like a South African buffalo. You look like a South African buffalo. Yes. Your horns are the same size as theirs, which means you're fairly well, shall we say, not as well endowed as some others in this particular area. I feel I've been slightly insulting to this fellow. He's tried to be friendly to me and now he's going to show me his best end. I do apologize. I know that you're an old fellow. You've seen a lot. You're a magnificent creature. I take nothing away from all the things you've achieved. Roshni, you say if only this buffalo could talk. Yes, I agree. Although I think given what I've said to him, he'd probably swear at us. I'm constantly astounded by actually how agile they are. That thing doesn't look like it could run quickly. It looks like it's a sort of big, fat, feeble lump. But they are immensely powerful. And pretty fast, certainly much faster than us. There he goes, wandering off in a slight sulk down towards the valley below Serena. Serena is the headquarters of the Masai Mara. There it is in the background there. There's a lodge there. Headquarters of the Mara Triangle, sorry. And Chris, as we look to see if we can find anybody having a shower in their room. I'm joking, we're not really trying to do that. Chris, you say, how long do buffalo live? They live for potentially 20 years or so. I suspect in captivity they could probably live up to 20 years, maybe a little bit longer even. Out here I think they'd be lucky to get beyond sort of 18. Now the reason that one is looking slightly more alarmed than his slightly sulky friend is because the wind is not blowing towards them though. That's interesting. He's behaved in a very alarmed fashion since we got here, and I don't really understand why that should be the case. He's also got a set of horns that he looks like he's over-sharpened somewhat, and because of that they are not quite as magnificent as they once were. Some impala in the background, very nicely disguised by the red oat grasses. There they go. He looks very alarmed by his existence. Perhaps he can smell that lioness we saw just a little bit earlier, and her cubs that Fergus saw. Good. The wind is coming up again. Let us begin our movement down towards the headquarters. I've got to go and drop off a piece of paper there. While we do that, Brent Leo Smith apparently is still looking for further leucistic animals.
might as well look for a menalistic now that we've done the leucistic already this morning. Of course, I'm joking. So I did get a report that there was a single male cheetah in this area. So we just to the north of Puringat bridge, and up on these ridges down towards the lookout crossings, there was a male cheetah seen a little bit earlier this morning. So I'm not sure which one it is. So we're doing a quick perusal through here, and we are an incredibly long way from home. So you never know what we might find on our way home as well. So as always, I should need to remind you by now, but keep a lookout for that live notification on Facebook, because for 24 hours every day, you never know when the Mara team might surprise you with a bit of Facebook action. And it is quite a wonderful thing to be able to work to the animals' timetable rather than a set game drive timetable. Daniel would like to know, is there a reason everyone drives a Land Rover here? Well, actually, most people drive Land Cruisers here. The reason we drive Land Rovers is they're a bit lighter, and of course we've got a lot of heavy equipment in them, so they weigh a little bit less, so we can deal with the mud a little bit better than a Land Cruiser can. That's the reason we drive Land Rovers, as they are lighter, because the body's made out of aluminium instead of steel, and it enables us to deal with mud a little bit better. And there is a lot of mud here, and there's a lot more coming as we head towards the next rainy season, which is the small rains, which should be running from any time about now, specifically November, December. Then we have a very dry period, and one of the driest periods of the year is January, February in the Mara, and then from March, April, May is the big rains. It's when we're going to get probably stuck quite a lot, do a lot of digging, a lot of bad words and kicking of cars, but being stuck's one of those things that is the worst thing in the world while you're stuck, but about 6 months later you remember it so fondly until you get stuck again, and then you remember why you hated being stuck so much. Now, with these soils here, it is very, very different. We're definitely at far greater risk of getting bogged down in the mud than we would be in the Sabi sands. Just looking very carefully through these valleys, and so far not much happening, so we will keep you posted if anything happens, if we have some cheetah hunting during the day. Remember, watch Facebook, but while we carry on our search, let's go back to the winter farmer in the dry Lowveld.
Now, a couple of months ago in the summer, on one or two of the bushwalks that we did, I invited everybody to take a screenshot of, or those who were interested at least anyway, to take a screenshot of me sitting in some thick bush. And this would be one of those bushes where we would have sat. It would have been the same one, I don't remember this one, but the grass would have been this tall, it would have been super lush, super green, and we're sitting in one of those panicum thickets at the moment. The grass that you're seeing all around you that's flat now would grow up to about waist level and be super thick underneath these shady trees. And right now, this is basically the height of the dry season. I know Brent was just explaining to you about the dry season and the wet season in the Mara. We've had winter now and a dry season. We'll start our summer in November. The rains will start coming in November and December again. And all of this by January will be absolutely thick and lush and green and beautiful. So if you want, take a screenshot of this and put a date next to it. And then I invite you in a couple of months' time, January or February, we'll sit down and take another screenshot and show you. They're all correspondent to that one potentially that you managed to take a few months ago, and you'll see how drastically the bush changes in this area between summer and winter. Now I know we have seasons all over the world and you have seasons wherever you are, but when you live in a city, I don't know, it's weird. It gets cold and then it gets warm, but the environment doesn't really change much. Whereas here, the environment changes absolutely. And this would just be one of those places where in summer we wouldn't be able to see through to the other side. It would be nice and thick. And alright, there's a couple of you that say you remember me doing that, which is a good thing, I suppose. Let me just try and get myself out of this thorn tree. I'm stuck over here. I always get to this time of the year and think to myself, how can there ever be trees left when you look at things like this? I mean, just take a look around at the devastation around here. But, you know, this is the cycle of life. For as many trees as they get knocked down, there's now sunlight onto patches of ground where there wouldn't have been trees before. There's seed beds like this. Amazing. Now, I didn't do it. You're asking me if I saw more ticks in the Mara than I saw here in South Africa? No, I actually was surprised. I never saw a single tick in the Mara. Not one climbed on me, which is unusual. I never got a single tick bite. It was incredible. Here, we haven't got any ticks yet, thankfully, but by the time this grass is all green and lush, I promise you, my legs are going to look like bleeding sores again, and we'll be having those shuddering sightings of your shoes crawling with ticks, and you know, all the grass seeds and everything goes with summer. There's a price to pay for beauty and for working in this place, and ticks are one of those vectors that exact that price, definitely. And see, there's quite a beautiful glade over here. It's a small little drainage line. This is the terminal point of the drainage line we were playing in when we found the weeping boerbean tree that was knocked over by the Tambweti. This is about a mile further down the river, and it is a tributary of the Mulwati drainage line, which is just in front of us as well. Now, Roshni, you want to know if this is a Maasai sword I'm carrying? Yeah, absolutely, Roshni. That's good that you noticed that. It is. I'm going to try and get it here. There we go. This isn't a moment. This is basically the Maasai sword that I bought in Kenya from John, the naturalist field guide that is out there that helped us basically build our camp. Now, all the Maasai warriors carry one of these. They get them short as well. You get them about this short, and then they sharpen them into all variety of different sizes. Now, bushcraft knives, I'm very keen on. This is a bushcraft knife. This is one. This is obviously the one that I've been carrying around for a couple of years now. They're very common to use in the bushcraft trade. Big knives like this are used by specialists who actually live in the bush. You do a whole bunch of things with them. This part of the blade is usually super sharp, and this one here you could shave with in this area. And this is used for fine chopping tasks, fine skinning, cutting, any fine working tasks. This part of the blade is usually a little bit less sharp, but it carries a bit more weight, and it's used for cutting and slicing. This part of the blade is used for chopping and hacking, and is usually thicker and not as sharp, but that part of the blade chopping and hacking, and then the front part of the blade is used for digging and for chopping vertically. So the whole knife is used for different things, and they come and use it in different ways to do of anything from carving, very fine carving. As you can see, I can shave off with a fair amount of accuracy. I can shave off very thin slivers, and we can use these thin slivers to feather a stick so that we can set it alight easier. So that's called feathering, when you create little burrs that are easy to catch alight, and then it catches the bigger stick alight. Or you can chop it, and you can see there, with very little effort, you can put the weight of the blade to use. Jared's buddy, you said I can use the sword to cut Brent's hair. You have no idea how much I'd like to do that. It is on my Christmas wish list this year. Cut Brent's hair with the sword. You know, with wild hacks sometimes to get rid of it. Petrol afterwards. Yeah. VM says, and set it alight as petrol so that it could never grow again. All right. On that note, we're going to put away my toy and send you over to Scott and his cheetah.
Good to hear some friendly banter between the boys down south and old Brent. So cool that Brent found a white hyena, or two. That's epic, epic stuff. I'm told you got to see a few of his pics. We are perched up on a hill a long way away from the 5 Sleepy Musketeer Coalition, and it is time to say goodbye to them. Who knows when one of us will come back across here, but Craig and I have decided to head back home. We are tired and feel defeated and demoralized. We shot off while you were gone to go and check up on Malaika, who's about 1 kilometer away. Her and her 2 boys are full bellied. They probably made a kill yesterday afternoon while we were sitting with them. So we've just been picking the wrong cheetah. But it goes like that, and of course it's still been wonderful to be out here following them and getting to spend time with them. So, like I say, time to say goodbye to them and say hello to Brent, who's doing something with his hair.
I'm flicking my hair, and of course all the people going at the hair are just jealous of my mane. But we've got a potential crossing up ahead, and I've been watching. I saw some on the other side. There's a few wildebeest marching towards what's called Fig Tree Crossing. So they might cross, we're not sure yet. Just keeping an eye on them. And as I look, I've been watching from the top. I've been keeping a close eye. So there's this male cheetah around here somewhere. But I've also been keeping an eye on not only Fig Tree Crossing, but the lookout crossings. And there's a big pile of zebra at one of the lookout crossings. I think it might be worth coming back to this area to sit and wait to see if these wildebeest decide to take the plunge into the murderous Mara River. So it's quite funny that crossing is called Fig Tree Crossing, because apparently there used to be a massive fig tree in it. It is now somewhere downstream. It apparently fell over last year and went for a swim down the Mara River. So on a young river system like this, the banks are very, very steep, and basically it's cutting between 2 different soil types, and that's where you find streams and rivers with a path of least resistance, and that's generally where 2 different soil types meet. And the reason I say the Mara is a young river, if you look at the banks and the valleys, that doesn't have very big set floodplain. Not more than about 500,000 years old or so, which is young in terms of rivers. And sorry about that, we did have a little bit of a glitchy, and that we lost a picture for a second. But yeah, it's fascinating when you look at different rivers. Now, for example, the Zambezi is a very old river in comparison. And what happens is big rivers and lakes actually catch Victoria and now flows into Victoria. So you could say, if you wanted to be fancy pants, that the Mara River is one of the sources of the Nile. Okay, well, I'm going to move a little bit closer to the crossing, and while we do that, let's go back to Master Henry on the other bank.
On the other bank, has Brent crossed the river? I didn't know that Brent had crossed the river. Well, we are, I don't know where Brent is anymore. I thought he was on this side. Anyway, we've come back from the headquarters of the Mara Triangle, and we're now heading along past the main crossings in the north, where apparently there was a Thompson's gazelle crossing in the offing at cul-de-sac. So we'll keep an eye on the crossing cameras during the course of the day. Did they actually cross, Kirsten? And a crocodile caught about 5 of them. Okay, so we'll definitely keep watching that. Wow. And we'll put a highlight up on Facebook and various other social media platforms. It's all very confusing, the social media thing for me. I'm now old enough to be genuinely confused by it all. Now, there's a car up ahead. I just want to go and see what they're looking at, because perchance it is a lion or a cheetah, because we are in the realm of Scarface, the male lion. Oh. There's a topi and a Thompson's gazelle, and you look at the topi and the Thompson's gazelle, because we don't have a huge amount of time. I'll train my binoculars down that direction. They are not looking at Scarface, the male lion. They have set up a tripod with some kind of camera device on it. Now, I think that there are more Thompson's gazelles here than there have been for the last little while, so perhaps we do have a small migration of Tommies. Nikki, you want to know if I'm going to sing you out of the show, like I did because I sang you into the show. Well, I suppose it would be only appropriate that I should do that. I'm just not sure what I'm going to sing. We might just have a repeat of the initial song from this morning. And so I will clear my voice and say thank you to all of you for coming along the ride, or coming on the ride with us. It's been marvellous. We've seen some wonderful things. We'll see you this afternoon, of course, at 15:30 Central African time, 16:30 this East African time.